Yeah, I got one for you. $5-mile-an-hour donut. Grab mine. A little different than the Pursuit, but still works. Step battery. Okay, we just got done with the test runs with the Crescent Shoalies and the XI3s, and I'm going to show you real quick how we mounted them. So under here we got the Marine Co 70 amp plugs. On mine I put the Dakota 135 right inside the front hatch with a 60 amp breaker. And on Mike's we did the same Marine Co plug, except we ran his wires all the way through, out the back onto this, when the motorcycles are gone, out the back onto this, and he's running it to an Optima battery. And his boat was leveler than mine in the water because he's got the extra weight in the back. Mine had a little bit of tail wag, as I said earlier in the video, but it wasn't bad. I think whenever I get all my gear back there, I think it's gonna flatten out perfect. I'm gonna take our motors off and then show you how I put the mounts on them, since I botched that video and I couldn't show anybody the video because it was terrible. I love the quick disconnect feature on these things because you ain't got to drive down the highway with them. If you guys didn't notice, I did my reds and greens on my motor itself. There's the red and greens on the other side. I ran it to an SAE plug. And then I put the plug up here in the front hatch. That allows me to be able to switch my motors back and forth from boat to boat, not have to worry about having lights, because on this one I'm going to be dragging it around the woods and I'll be tearing lights off. So on my front hatch, I cut that out and then I epoxied it back in because I wanted to be able to get inside the hole and bolt this down. On mine, I did 4 bolts, used the factory holes, and then underneath I built a plate that bridged this gap right here that goes to these two, so they're actually pushing up on this entire chunk of plastic, and it was really stable. And then on Mike's, we did kind of what Drew did to his. We used the thread cert right here, and then I drilled new holes and countersank them. And then on the back, we just used T-bolt nut, drilled a hole and countersank it. But then I added 2 more rubber grommets on the bottom to keep them watertight, because I think it'll be fine if they're on the gear track. I don't think it'll hurt anything, but I'm worried that if you're going sideways and you hit something really hard, that your mount being mounted right down the center might give it a little bit of play. Maybe not. But that also allowed me to shim. You can kind of see how it's not perfectly flat right here. And Mike's kayak on his motor sits back a little farther than mine, and his is a little bit faster than mine. So I'm going to shim mine up to give it a little bit more lift out of the water, which, I mean, it's literally not that much faster at all, but it was enough on a 4 or 5 mile run or 3 mile run or whatever. He'll end up getting to the fishing spot before me. We can't let that happen. But that's it. If you got any questions about how we mounted the quick disconnect, Drew has a good video on there. Drew Gregory Fishing on Facebook. I'm pretty sure he posted it there. Or shoot me a PM. These spacers come in the Motor Guide XL kit. For whatever reason, I don't know, but I steal them from everybody I do a Motor Guide install for, because they don't get used for anything, and they're super handy with this kind of situation. Mike, what do you think of your Motor Guide on your new Shoalie?
I really like it, opposed to my other boat. It's faster. I feel like it's more stable. Even at high speed, be able to turn it and do a donut.
It's definitely faster.
Act crazy. So I really